The interrogation chamber hummed with the low thrum of containment fields as Commander Zixthor adjusted the atmospheric controls. Behind the translucent barrier sat the human, designation Marcus Chen, looking remarkably unconcerned for someone about to face the Rex Dominion's most effective psychological weapon. "Subject is secured," Zixthor announced, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he checked the monitors. His carapace gleamed under the sterile lighting, each plate shifting with barely contained anticipation. In his 3 cycles as chief interrogator, he had never encountered a species that could withstand the fear gas. Not one. The human shifted in his restraints, metal groaning slightly. Those strange binocular eyes tracked Zixthor's movements with an unsettling steadiness. No trembling, no heightened respiration. The preliminary scan showed the human's heart rate was actually slower than baseline. "You understand why you're here, human?" Zixthor's translator chip converted his clicking mandibles into standard galactic. Marcus tilted his head. "Something about unauthorized entry into Rex space. Pretty sure that's just an excuse, though. You folks seem more interested in what makes humans tick. Perceptive." Zixthor's antennae twitched with grudging respect. The Vrex High Command had indeed authorized this interrogation, primarily for intelligence gathering. Humanity had appeared on the galactic stage only 40 standard years ago, yet they had already carved out an impressive and concerning territory. They fought with a tenacity that bordered on insanity, laughed in situations that paralyzed other species with terror, and somehow thrived in environments that should have broken them. "Your defiance is noted," Zixthor said, activating the gas dispersal system. "But it will not last." The fear gas was the Dominion's crowning achievement in psychological warfare, synthesized from the pheromones of apex predators across 40 worlds, enhanced with neurotoxins that targeted the primal fear centers of the brain. It was a weapon that transcended mere chemical composition. Species that had never encountered certain predators would still experience instinctual terror upon exposure. The gas didn't just frighten, it excavated ancient evolutionary nightmares buried in genetic memory. Purple-gray vapor began flooding the chamber. Zixthor watched from behind the protective barrier, his equipment recording every biometric fluctuation. The human would break.
They always broke.
Some collapsed into catatonia. Others screamed until their voices gave out. A few had died from sheer cardiac shock. Marcus Chen took a deep breath. Then another. His eyes closed, and for a moment Zixthor thought the gas was taking effect. But the human's face didn't contort in anguish. Instead, something strange happened. The corners of his mouth twitched upward. His shoulders relaxed. Subject appears calm? Zixthor's assistant, junior analyst Kratep, chittered in confusion, her slender fingers dancing across the holographic displays. "Commander, the readings are wrong. His cortisol levels are dropping. Adrenaline is normal. Brain activity suggests. Is that nostalgia? Recalibrate the sensors," Zixthor snapped. "Already done, sir." 3 times. Marcus inhaled deeply again, and when he opened his eyes, they held an expression Zixthor had never seen in this chamber. Not relief, not even resignation. It was something almost fond. "Smells like home," the human said, his voice carrying a roughness that wasn't there before, not from fear, but from something like emotion. "Impossible," Zixthor hissed. "The fear gas contains essences from the most terrifying predators in known space. The suffocating darkness of the void sirens, the acrid bite of marshland hunters, the metallic taint of smog," Marcus interrupted, still breathing deeply. "Diesel fumes. Industrial runoff. Yeah, I'm getting all of it." He laughed, the sound bouncing off the chamber walls. "You know what this smells like? Detroit or Pittsburgh, maybe Gary, Indiana on a bad day." Zixthor's mandibles hung open. "You find comfort in toxins?" "Comfort?" Marcus considered. "Not exactly. But familiarity, hell yeah. You're pumping in smells that remind me of my grandfather's factory. Rush hour traffic, the steel mills back when they were still running full tilt. My planet didn't just have predators, Commander. We had entire landscapes that wanted us dead. We built cities in places that flooded, caught fire, froze solid. We lived next to volcanoes because the soil was good. We farmed in drought-stricken deserts. We turned swamps into metropolises." He leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. "You want to know what's really funny? That scent you've got in there that I'm guessing is supposed to be lurking predator in the darkness? That's just Saturday night in any human city. We've got entire holidays where we deliberately scare ourselves for fun. We created horror as entertainment. We live with anxiety so casually we've got prescriptions for it and coffee shops on every corner. Kretep was frantically taking notes, her eyes wide with fascination. Commander, this is extraordinary. The human psychology is completely broken, Zixthor finished. Their psychology is broken. Or adapted, Marcus offered. Look, Commander, I appreciate the effort here, really. This gas probably costs a fortune to synthesize. But humans? We're the species that looked at wolves, literal pack hunters that could tear us apart and said, I'm gonna make that my friend. We're the species that survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and each other. You think we did that by being scared of bad smells? Zixthor felt something he rarely experienced: uncertainty. His intelligence briefings had mentioned humanity's unusual resilience, but this was beyond anomalous. This was incomprehensible. We have other methods, he said, though his voice lacked conviction. I'm sure you do. Marcus's expression softened slightly. But here's the thing, Commander. You brought me here to break me, to understand what makes humans tick. You want to know our weakness. But our weakness is also our strength. We're so used to adversity that we've forgotten how to be properly terrified of it. We turned our fears into tools, into stories, into inoculation. The human took one more deep breath of the fear gas and smiled. So yeah, smells like home. Smells like survival. Smells like every human city that clawed its way up from nothing and decided to stay, no matter what the universe threw at it. Zixthor deactivated the gas system. In 3 cycles as chief interrogator, he had learned many things about alien psychology. But today, for the first time, he felt something primal and ancient stirring in his own genetic memory. It wasn't fear of the human. It was fear of what humanity represented. A species that had been forged in a crucible of terrors and emerged not broken, but unbreakable. A species that weaponized its trauma and called it home. Release him, Zixthor ordered quietly. As Marcus Chen was escorted from the chamber, Zixthor updated his report with a single recommendation that he knew High Command would find disturbing: avoid conflict with humanity. Not because they were stronger or more advanced or better armed, but because a species that found comfort in fear itself was not one that could ever truly be conquered.